assets, including Wright Manufacturing, the estate and liquid holdings, go to Caroline Wright and Nathan Wright. Alina Wright receives nothing. The lawyer's words hung in the air like poison. I sat frozen in the leather chair, my father's mahogany desk between us. Caroline, my stepmother, sat to my right wearing black pearls and a practiced expression of sympathy. Nathan, my half-brother, slouched beside her, scrolling through his phone. "Nothing," I whispered. The lawyer cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Your father's wishes were very clear, Alina. He wanted you to learn independence." Caroline reached over and patted my hand. Her touch felt cold. "Your father worried you didn't understand the value of money, darling. This is his final gift to you, the gift of responsibility." I pulled my hand away. The company I'd helped build for 15 years, the house where I'd nursed him through cancer, the family heirlooms from my mother, all gone. My voice came out steady, though my hands trembled. "You'll regret this lesson." 6 months earlier, everything had been different. Dad sat in his favorite armchair, oxygen tubes in his nose, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Caroline hovered nearby with tea and sympathy, always there, always watching. "Alina," he said weakly, "I'm worried about you." I looked up from the financial reports I'd been reviewing. "Worried? Dad, the company's doing well, the new contracts." "Not the company." He waved his hand dismissively. You've never had to struggle, never had to stand on your own 2 feet." Caroline sat beside him, placing her hand on his arm. "Walter's right, dear. You've always had everything handed to you. It's made you dependent." My chest tightened. "Dad, I've been running operations for years. I take care of you, the house, everything." "That's exactly the problem," Caroline interrupted gently. "You need to learn what it means to work for something, to truly earn your place." Dad nodded slowly. "I'm changing my will, Alina. It's for your own good." I watched Caroline's face. She wasn't looking at Dad. She was looking at me, and in her eyes, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Victory. The eviction notice came 2 weeks after the funeral. I stood in my childhood bedroom, the one I'd moved back into to care for Dad, holding the legal document. Caroline had sold the house. I had 30 days. Nathan appeared in the doorway, his suit too expensive, his smirk too satisfied. "Sorry, sis. New ownership, new rules. Caroline thinks it's best if you find your own place. You know, responsibility and all that." "This is my home," I said quietly. "Was your home?" He shrugged. "Oh, and the board voted this morning. We're restructuring. Your position has been eliminated. For optics, you understand." I looked around the room. My mother's jewelry box sat on the dresser. The framed photos of Dad and me at company milestones lined the walls. My childhood piano stood in the corner downstairs. "I'll need time to pack my things." Nathan checked his watch. "You've got until Friday. And Ellie, Mom wants the piano. She's already sold it to a collector." My mother's piano, the one she'd taught me to play before she died, the one Dad promised would always be mine. I met Nathan's eyes. "Get out." The apartment was tiny, with peeling wallpaper and a window that overlooked a parking lot. But it was mine. Or at least, I could afford the rent with what little savings I had left. I was unpacking boxes when someone knocked. Martha stood in the hallway, her familiar face lined with concern. She'd worked beside me at Wright Manufacturing for 12 years. "Ellie," she pulled me into a hug. "I heard what they did. I'm so sorry." "It's fine. I'm fine." "No, you're not." She stepped inside, closing the door behind her. "And neither is the company. That's why I'm here." She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo of an invoice. The numbers were wrong. The signature was forged. "They're cooking the books," Martha whispered. "Caroline and Nathan are stripping the company bare. Fake invoices, illegal layoffs, offshore accounts, it's all there." My hands shook as I scrolled through the photos. "How long has this been going on?" "Since your father got sick, maybe before." She handed me a flash drive. "Everything's on here, but Ellie, you didn't get this from me. I have kids. I can't lose my job." I closed my fingers around the drive. "I understand." After she left, I sat on my bare mattress and cried. Not for myself, for Dad, for what Caroline had turned his legacy into. Then I dried my eyes and plugged in the flash drive. I spent 3 days reviewing every file. The evidence was damning: forged contracts, falsified tax documents, money disappearing into accounts I couldn't trace. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. Any lawyer would tell me I needed more. Proof of intent, documentation that connected Caroline directly to the fraud, and I had no access to the company anymore. My phone rang. Caroline's name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer. "Eleanor, darling," her voice dripped with false warmth. "I've been thinking. Nathan was perhaps too hasty letting you go. We could use someone with your institutional knowledge. Just a small contract position, of course, nothing permanent." I closed my eyes, thinking fast. What kind of position? "Oh, administrative work. Filing, data entry. We're quite overwhelmed with the transition." She paused. "It would be good for you, help you learn to work your way up again." She was offering me scraps, but scraps could become a feast if I was patient enough. When do I start? Walking back into Wright Manufacturing felt surreal. The building, where I'd spent 15 years now, belonged to strangers wearing familiar faces. Caroline met me in the lobby, her smile sharp. "Welcome back, Eleanor. I'm so glad you're being reasonable about this." Nathan appeared behind her, arms crossed. "Your desk is in the back, near the supply closet. Try not to embarrass us this time." I bit my tongue until it bled and followed them inside. They'd given me a tiny workspace with an outdated computer and stacks of filing. But what they didn't know was that this computer was still connected to the company server, and Caroline had never changed the administrator passwords. By lunch, I'd found something interesting: a private folder buried in the financial directory. Project Mariner. I clicked it open. Inside were dozens of documents, contracts, emails, property valuations. My breath caught as I read. Caroline was planning to sell Wright Manufacturing to Blackstone Industries, our biggest competitor, for a fraction of its value. And she planned to do it before the company's financial problems became public. She was going to walk away with millions, while everyone else lost their jobs. I heard footsteps approaching and quickly closed the window. My hand moved to eject the flash drive I'd been using to copy files. The door opened. Caroline stood there, her eyes cold. "Still snooping, Eleanor." My heart hammered, but I kept my face neutral. The flash drive was in my palm, hidden. "Just organizing these files you left," I said calmly. "They're a mess." Caroline studied me for a long moment. Something flickered in her expression: suspicion, calculation. Then she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "How dedicated. But don't work too hard, darling. You're only temporary after all." She left, her heels clicking down the hallway. I waited until I couldn't hear her anymore, then slipped the flash drive into my pocket. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. That night, I got a text from Nathan. "You think she doesn't know what you're doing?" I stared at the message, my stomach twisting. Were they watching me? Had I been too obvious? I deleted the text and turned off my phone. I couldn't sleep. Every shadow seemed threatening, every sound like footsteps coming for me. By morning, I'd made a decision. I needed to be smarter, more careful. And I needed resources of my own. I spent the weekend digging through old financial records from my father's personal files, the ones I'd kept in storage. Buried in a folder from 20 years ago, I found something unexpected. A joint venture account, opened when Dad first started the company. It listed 2 names, Walter Wright and Eleanor Wright. I called the bank Monday morning. The account was inactive, but it still existed, and it still had my name on it. "How much is in there?" I asked the representative. There was a pause. $48,000, Ms. Wright. It wasn't much, not compared to what Caroline had stolen, but it was seed money. It was a start. By Tuesday, I'd signed a lease for a small warehouse space on the industrial side of town. By Wednesday, I'd registered a new business. Northlight Fabrications. Martha met me there after work, her eyes wide as she looked around the empty space. "Ellie, what are you doing?" "Starting over," I said. "Want to help?" Within 2 weeks, we had a team. Martha brought 2 other workers who'd been laid off by Caroline's restructuring. Both were skilled machinists who'd spent decades at Wright Manufacturing. We started small, taking on orders from small businesses who couldn't afford Wright's inflated prices. Word spread quietly through the industry. The daughter of Walter Wright was back in business. That's when Caroline found out. She called me screaming, "You're stealing our clients. You're using our contacts, our reputation." "I'm using my father's reputation," I corrected. "The one you're destroying." "You have no right." "I have every right. Northlight is my company, built with my money, my time, and my name." The line went silent for a moment. When Caroline spoke again, her voice was ice. "You'll regret this, Alina." "I already do," I said. "I regret ever trusting you." I hung up. The next morning, 3 of our suppliers canceled their contracts. Then 5 more. By afternoon, we'd lost nearly every vendor. Martha found me in the office, staring at the cancellation emails. "Caroline's blacklisting us. She's telling everyone we're unreliable." I should have seen this coming. Caroline had connections, power, money. All I had was determination and $48,000 that was rapidly disappearing. But I refused to quit. I spent the next week driving to every small manufacturer within 100 miles. I talked to veteran-owned businesses, family operations, struggling suppliers who remembered my father. "Caroline Wright is running Wright Manufacturing into the ground," I told them. "But Northlight stands for what my father built: quality, integrity, fair wages." Slowly, carefully, I rebuilt our supply chain. It was harder, more expensive, but it was honest. Then the newspaper article came out. "Ethics Scandal Rocks Wright Manufacturing. Widow Faces Questions." I read it over coffee, my hands steady despite the rage building inside me. The article accused Caroline of financial impropriety, citing anonymous sources and leaked documents. My documents. But Caroline had spun it perfectly. She blamed a disgruntled ex-employee with an axe to grind. She never said my name, but everyone knew who she meant. Investors panicked. Wright Manufacturing's stock dropped 15% in a day. That evening, I received an email from an unfamiliar address. "We should talk." Marcus Harrington, Apex Industries. I knew that name. Apex was one of Wright's biggest competitors. I replied with a time and place. Marcus Harrington was younger than I expected, maybe 45, with sharp eyes and an easy smile. We met at a coffee shop far from both our offices. "Your stepmother approached us 6 months ago," he said without preamble. "Wanted to sell Wright Manufacturing. Under the table, favorable terms for us, questionable legality. And we declined. When we looked into the company's finances, we found irregularities. Then we found out who Caroline really was." He leaned forward. "Your father had a reputation, Alina. Honest, fair, dedicated. That's worth something in this industry." "What do you want?" "I want to make you an offer. Apex backs Northlight. We provide capital, resources, connections. You keep full operational control. In exchange, we get preferred supplier status and a small equity stake." It was a good offer, maybe too good. "Why?" I asked. Marcus smiled. "Because watching you take down Caroline Wright is going to be very satisfying and profitable." I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. "I don't just want to compete with her, Marcus. I want to buy Wright Manufacturing." His smile widened. "Now we're talking." With Apex's backing, I had real resources. Legal team, accountants, investigators. Within a month, we'd built a case that would make any prosecutor salivate. Forged contracts dating back 3 years. Falsified tax returns. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. And most damning, dozens of emails signed with my father's name, all sent after he'd lost the ability to use a computer. Caroline had been forging his signature while he lay dying. But there was one more thing. One file I'd noticed buried in her personal directory, protected by encryption that our tech specialist finally cracked. The file was labeled, Will, Old Version. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a scanned copy of a will, dated 2 years before my father's death. Properly notarized, properly witnessed. It left Wright Manufacturing equally to Nathan and me. The estate was split 3 ways among Caroline, Nathan, and me. This was the real will, the one Caroline had hidden. I sat back in my chair, my vision blurring with tears. Dad hadn't cut me out. He'd never wanted to teach me responsibility through cruelty. Caroline had stolen everything. I made an appointment with my father's lawyer the next day. He looked older than I remembered, worn down by something I could now recognize as guilt. I placed the file on his desk without speaking. His face went pale. Eleanor, You knew, I said quietly. You knew this existed. His hands trembled as he opened the file. Caroline told me Walter changed his mind. She had documents, instructions. She said he wanted to protect you from yourself. And you believed her. She was convincing, and he closed his eyes. I was tired. Walter was my friend for 40 years. Watching him die, dealing with Caroline's demands, I took the easy way out. I'm sorry. Sorry isn't enough. No, he looked up at me, his eyes red. But I'll testify. If this goes to court, I'll tell them everything. What Caroline said, what she threatened, all of it. I nodded slowly. Thank you. That evening, Caroline called me. Her voice was tight, controlled. I heard you visited Albert. He's a confused old man, Eleanor. Whatever he told you. He told me the truth. Silence. Then, you don't know what you're getting into. This family has secrets you couldn't imagine. Try me. Your father wasn't the saint you think he was, and I have proof. Then show it, in court, under oath. I paused. I'll see you there, Caroline. I hung up, my heart racing. The news broke on a Thursday morning. Suppressed will and fraud allegations, Rock Wright estate. The article detailed everything. The hidden will, the forged signatures, the offshore accounts. Photos of bank statements and emails spread across social media. Within hours, it was the top story in local news. I didn't leak it, but I wasn't going to pretend I was sorry someone had. Caroline went on television, her face composed, her voice steady. These allegations are baseless attacks from a bitter stepdaughter. I loved Walter. Everything I did was to honor his wishes. But the photos didn't lie. The account numbers were real. The signatures were provably false. By afternoon, the district attorney's office had announced an investigation. That's when Nathan showed up at my office. He looked terrible, pale, shaking, dark circles under his eyes. He dropped a cardboard box on my desk. What's this? I asked. Letters from Dad to you. His voice cracked. She made me hide them, said it was better for everyone. I'm sorry, Ellie, I'm so sorry. I opened the box with trembling hands. Inside were dozens of letters, all in my father's handwriting. Eleanor, my darling girl, I'm so proud of you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Caroline says you're too dependent on me, but I see the truth. You're the strongest person I know. Tears streamed down my face as I read. Nathan stood there, watching, his own tears falling. I always suspected something was wrong, he whispered. But I was scared. She's my mother. I didn't want to believe. The office door burst open. Caroline stood there, her face twisted with rage. What have you done, Nathan? For a moment, nobody moved. Then Caroline stepped forward, her eyes locked on the box. Those are private property. You have no right. They're letters to me, I said quietly. Written by my father, they belong to me. Your father was confused, medicated. Those letters don't mean anything. They mean everything. I stood up, meeting her gaze. They prove he loved me, that he trusted me, that everything you said was a lie. Caroline's mask finally cracked. You stupid girl. You have no idea what you've thrown away. Your father built an empire and you're tearing it down for sentiment. No, I opened my laptop and turned it toward her. You're the one who destroyed it, but I'm going to rebuild it. On the screen were documents, every forged invoice, every fake contract, every illegal transfer. And in the center, an email from Caroline to Nathan. Make sure Alina doesn't find the old will. Everything depends on it. Caroline's face went white. The police are waiting outside, I said softly. They have some questions for you. The arrest was quiet, professional. Caroline went without fighting, but her eyes promised vengeance as they led her past. Nathan collapsed into a chair after she left, his head in his hands. What happens now? That depends on you, I said. Did you know about the fraud, the forged documents? No, I swear, Ellie, I knew about the will, but I thought Dad really wanted it that way, everything else. He looked up at me with my father's eyes. I just wanted her approval. I'm weak. I know that now. I wanted to hate him. Part of me did. But I also saw the truth. Nathan was another one of Caroline's victims. Resign from the board, I told him. Cooperate with the investigators. Maybe, eventually, we can figure out how to be family again. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. Thank you. After he left, I sat alone in my office, staring at my father's letters. The lawyer called an hour later. Alina, there's something else. Your father left a video, with me. He made me promise to give it to you if Caroline ever. He paused. I think you should see it. The video was dated 3 months before my father died. He sat in his study, thin and frail, but his eyes were clear. Alina, his voice trembled slightly. If you're watching this, then I made a terrible mistake. Caroline convinced me you needed to learn independence. She said you relied on me too much, that you'd never grow if I didn't push you away. He coughed, catching his breath. I see now she was lying. She was manipulating me, probably to get control of the company. I tried to fix it, tried to change the will back, but she... His eyes filled with tears. She controls my medications, my appointments. I'm trapped, sweetheart, and I'm so sorry. I was sobbing now, clutching the laptop. I wrote you letters, every day, telling you the truth. I don't know if you'll ever get them, but I hope you do. I hope you know. His voice broke. I hope you know that everything I am, everything I built was always for you. You are my greatest achievement, Alina, not the company, you. The video ended. I sat in the darkness of my office and cried until I couldn't anymore. Then I whispered to the empty room, I forgive you, Dad. The court proceedings took 4 months. Caroline's lawyers fought hard, but the evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution presented forged documents, offshore accounts, testimony from the lawyer, and my father's video. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced her to 8 years for fraud, document tampering, and elder abuse. Her assets were seized to pay restitution. The same judge validated my father's original will. I inherited half the estate. Nathan inherited the other half, though most of his portion went to paying back defrauded investors and creditors. Caroline's share was revoked entirely. I didn't attend the sentencing. I had a company to rebuild. Wright Manufacturing was a mess, depleted inventory, demoralized staff, angry clients. But piece by piece, we fixed it. I merged it with Northlight, creating something new, something ethical. We rehired everyone Caroline had laid off. We renegotiated supplier contracts. We rebuilt trust. Within 6 months, we were profitable again. 1 year after Caroline's arrest, I stood in the renovated headquarters, looking at the new sign. Wright Northlight Manufacturing. Marcus from Apex stood beside me. You did it. We did it, I corrected. Martha came up, grinning. Boss, we just got the Anderson contract. They're coming back. I smiled. Send them a thank you and a discount for their loyalty. That evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Alina. It was Caroline's voice, thin and broken. How did you get this number? Please don't hang up, she was crying. I need to talk to you. I should have ended the call, but I waited. They put me in a state facility, she said. It's terrible here. The food, the people, I have nothing, Alina. No money, no home, no family. You did this to yourself. I know, and I'm sorry. But please, you have everything now. The company, the estate, can't you help me? Just a little. Some money for a better place, a lawyer for an appeal. No. Eleanor, please. You told me I needed to learn responsibility, I said quietly. Remember that my father wanted to teach me independence. Well, I learned, and now it's your turn to learn accountability. I'll die in here. You'll survive, the same way you expected me to survive with nothing. I paused. Goodbye, Caroline. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not with anger, with relief, with closure. She called 17 more times that week. I blocked the number. Nathan visited me on a Saturday. We walked through the manufacturing floor together, watching the machines run, the workers building, creating, producing. I'm working at a community center now, he said, teaching business skills to kids who don't have opportunities. It's not glamorous, but, he smiled softly, it feels right. I'm proud of you. He looked surprised. Really? You could have kept lying, kept defending her, but you chose truth. That takes courage. We stopped in front of a memorial I'd installed, a photo of our father, young and smiling, the day he opened Wright Manufacturing. I miss him, Nathan whispered. Me too. We stood in silence for a while. Then Nathan said, Caroline wrote me a letter from prison, apologizing. Did you write back? No, not yet, maybe someday. He looked at me. Did you ever think about forgiving her? I considered the question honestly. I don't know, maybe when she's served her time and proven she's changed. But right now, I'm focused on building something good, something that honors what Dad actually wanted. Nathan nodded. That's fair. Before he left, he hugged me. A real hug, not the awkward, obligatory kind we'd done for years. Thank you for not giving up on me, he said. Family doesn't give up, I replied. That's something Caroline never understood. 2 years after the will reading, I sat in my office reviewing quarterly reports. The numbers were strong. We'd expanded into 3 new markets. Employee satisfaction was the highest in the industry. My assistant knocked. Ms. Wright, there's a reporter here for your interview. The profile was for a business magazine, Women Rebuilding Family Legacies. They wanted to know how I'd turned Wright Manufacturing around after the scandal. I told them the truth. About Caroline's betrayal, my father's manipulation, the hidden will. About starting over with $48,000 and a dream. About choosing ethics over profit. What would you say to other people facing similar betrayals? The reporter asked. I thought carefully. Document everything, trust your instincts, and never let someone else define your worth. Your value isn't determined by what people leave you. It's determined by what you build. The article ran the next month with my photo on the cover. The headline read, Eleanor Wright's Legacy, How Betrayal Became Her Greatest Business Teacher. Martha framed it and hung it in the break room. I was locking up the office late one evening when I saw an envelope tucked under my door. No stamp, no return address, just my name in familiar handwriting. I opened it standing there in the hallway. Eleanor, I know you don't want to hear from me. I understand why, but I need you to know that I'm sorry, truly, deeply sorry. What I did was unforgivable. I was greedy and jealous, and I convinced myself that I deserved your father's empire more than you did. I was wrong. You are everything he said you were, strong, brilliant, kind. You've built something remarkable, and I hate that I tried to destroy you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that in here, in the darkness, I finally see the truth. You won because you were always better than me. Caroline. I read it twice. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't write back. 5 years later, I stood at my father's grave on a cool autumn morning. The leaves were turning gold and red, drifting down like memories. I did it, Dad, I whispered. Wright Northlight is thriving. We employ over 200 people. We're ethical, profitable, and everything you dreamed of. I placed a white rose on the headstone, his favorite flower. Nathan's doing well too. He's engaged now to a woman who actually loves him for who he is. He still asks about you, wishes you could have met her. The wind rustled through the trees. Caroline's still in prison. She'll be out in a few years. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive her, but I don't carry the anger anymore. That's something, isn't it? I touched the cold marble. I miss you every day, but I understand now what you were trying to tell me in those letters. Success isn't about what we inherit. It's about what we create, what we leave behind. As I walked back to my car, my phone buzzed. A message from Martha. Big client just signed. Celebrating tonight. I smiled and typed back. Absolutely. I sat at my desk, the same one my father had used 40 years ago, and looked around my office. Awards lined the walls. Photos of our team, our projects, our growth. A framed copy of my father's last letter to me. On my computer screen was an email from Caroline. The subject line read, "Public apology." I stared at it for a long moment, my cursor hovering over the notification. Then I deleted it without opening it. Not out of cruelty, not out of anger, but because I'd spent 5 years learning the most important lesson of all. My peace didn't depend on her apology. My success didn't require her acknowledgement. My happiness wasn't contingent on her understanding. I'd rebuilt my father's legacy on my own terms. I'd created something honest and sustainable and good. I'd turned betrayal into strength, loss into growth. Caroline had tried to teach me responsibility by taking everything away. Instead, I'd taught myself something more valuable, that true strength isn't about what you inherit. It's about what you refuse to let break you. I opened a new document and began drafting next quarter's expansion plans. Outside my window, the sun set over Right Northlight Manufacturing, painting the building in gold light. And for the first time in years, I felt complete. Not because I'd won, but because I'd become exactly who I was meant to be.